Hi everyone, my name is Alex Smith. I'm a graduate student at the Virginia Institute of Marine Science, and I study climate change and how climate change changes the coastal ecosystems that make up our coastal landscape. So my lesson plan today deals with some of these things that I study in real life, mainly sea level rise and how sea level rise can affect these systems. So as sea levels rise, they constantly threaten these coastal ecosystems by drowning them. But luckily, a lot of our systems, like salt marshes, have specially adapted abilities that allow them to survive rising sea levels. In the lesson plan titled Growing Up is Hard, Vertical Accretion in Salt Marshes, students will learn about these processes that allow marshes to survive in the face of sea level rise, as well as model them using physical objects to represent the marsh and the sea level and how it changes over time. So in the lesson plan, you'll find a background information with some clips from videos that are really good at emphasizing why marshes are important, why we value them, and some of the things threatening them. After that, you'll find a document that is meant to prime students to have them think about marshes and vertical accretion and a lot of those processes. Then the next two documents are the modeling that is involved in this lesson, the real meat of the lesson. It works through having marsh represented through Lego blocks, and these Lego blocks will be in a watertight container like this, and in the container as well, you'll be adding water to represent sea level rise. It's really important that you weigh your Lego blocks down. Here I just have some quarters duct taped to them. And as you can see, this can be done in the classroom or at home, individually over Zoom. So once you put your marsh in your simulation, you begin to add seawater. So just pour water in there. As you pour the water in, the water rises, and eventually your marsh starts to get submerged. As marshes get submerged in real life, they undergo processes that add to the vertical accretion of the marsh, that increase the elevation of the marsh so they don't drown. In the first runs of the simulation, the students will just be adding a constant rate of vertical accretion. So every time they add water, they also add a block of Legos to the top. So they'll add some water, go back, add a Lego to the top, and they'll see that their marsh is actually able to survive a little bit. They'll do this over and over again while recording the height of the water, the height of the marsh across 10 time series. And in this first run through, they'll see that their marsh always drowns. Now we know this isn't the case in real life, and that's because vertical accretion is dynamic. And in the second run through of this simulation, they actually do that. As water level becomes closer and closer to the marsh elevation responds higher and higher. So if your marsh elevation is here and your water level is down here, it'll only increase a little bit. But if marsh elevation is here and water level is here, your marsh elevation will shoot up. And that's what's being modeled in that second run through. And throughout these models, we'll be using things like rate of change and slope to talk about how our systems are changing, as well as graphing and recording the heights of our systems. That's the general overview of my lesson plan. There's a lot more details in the actual lesson plan, but feel free to reach out if you have any questions.